Let's go to the hotline and bring in the head coach of the 2-0 Lubbock Cooper Pirates, coming off of a resounding win over rival Lubbock Coronado. We are joined by Coach Chip Darden. Coach, how are you?
Hi, doing well, Greg. How are you?
Excellent. How are things in the 806?
Man, they're going pretty good. I think in general, it's just nice that it's football season. I think everybody, you could feel the buzz here the last few weeks getting ready for football season. So it's nice. Hopefully that weather will cool off a little bit and really feel like fall, but things are good.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about your squad, a win 35-21 over Lubbock Coronado. I know that is always a very how do I want to put it? Emotional game for you guys.
Yep.
You guys are always. This is one everyone in town has circled. What was it about Friday night that went so well for you guys?
Yeah, emotional is a good way to put it. I mean, our kids know a lot of their kids, shoot their buddies with a lot of them, and it's just one of those pretty healthy rivalries all the way through in every sport. So, a part of kind of when we approach those games is making sure that we don't make it too big. And I think our kids approach it in the right way of going, we want to play in bigger games down the road. So use this as a learning tool on, a full house and playing with some nerves and playing with some emotion. And I think they handled it well. But the biggest thing on what went right is winning the turnover battle is going to be something that we look at doing every week. And we think that that's one of the biggest stats in football that relates to wins and losses. And, we won that turnover battle and that had a pick six in there too. So when the defense can score also, we think we got a chance of being pretty successful. Guys have been pretty good at all spring. That was a point of emphasis was turnovers. And I think they've done a good job the first 2 weeks of that.
You mentioned Rylan Cox's or Wilcox rather his pick six that came midway through the fourth quarter. Put you guys up 28-14. More or less, Coronado was basically driving for what would have been a game-tying touchdown. Did you feel like that was the play of the game? That was the one that ended up turning the game in your favor?
Yeah, we give a game changer award every week just to whatever we feel like turned the tide, and we gave it to Rylan. We also gave it to Carter Bradley, who the defensive possession before Coronado was actually first and goal at about the 5-yard line, and with the game tied up, so Coronado was about to take the lead with about 10 minutes left, and Carter Bradley got an interception on the 3-yard line. Offense went 97 yards and scored, and then Rylan had the pick six. So we gave both of them the game changer. Both those turnovers were just a difference in the game. Those two kids, if you look at them next to some other guys, they're not the most intimidating or imposing guys, but they're both just football players. They're around the ball all the time and making good things happen most of the time.
You guys offensively. Obviously, you guys were able to really run the ball well. We knew that this was going to be a team that ran the ball, and through 2 games, seems like going to plan. Nehemiah Martinez and Isaiah Johnson have been fantastic. I'm interested, from your perspective. I think there are some guys who want to be the guy. You have 2 guys who are capable of being the guy, but it seems like early returns are that they both understand their roles. How do you balance the idea of having these 2 outstanding running backs?
Yeah, that's a tough part, and I think the biggest deal on our end of it is just making sure we've got ways to get them on the field at the same time. And then I think the touches kind of work themselves out. In the first half, Nehemiah carried it a little bit more. He was a little banged up going in. His foot was kind of hurting, so we got him some touches early, and then as the game went on, Isaiah got more. But I think those guys, their attitude's good, and they, there might be something deep down that if they're not getting enough touches or, kind of frustrated, they don't show that. They're team guys. And I think most of all, they're winners. And so they really don't care what goes on as long as we're winning football games. And, I think all that stuff kind of works itself out. But on our coaching staff wise, we just have to do a good job of getting them on the field at the same time, and then we think the touches kind of work themselves out, if that makes sense.
We're talking with Chip Darden, the head coach of the Lubbock Cooper Pirates here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TFToday. Coach, I think we should probably address the fact that you're new here, kinda.
Yes, sir.
You're the new head coach there. This is your first. You are 2-0 as a head coach, so no pressure. But you take over for Coach Catwinkle, who moves into the AD role. You get promoted from the offensive coordinator position. I'm interested in what has the transition been like for you, as far as you're obviously familiar with this program, you're familiar with the guys, but moving to the big chair, what's that been like for you?
Yeah, I think, this is my 11th year on staff out here. So the transition as far as the kids go has been really smooth. And I've said it over and over, but kids are resilient. They just want to play ball. So I think once we just kind of got rolling, there wasn't any transition problems as far as that goes on my end of it. You probably know, Greg, that I'm answering a few more emails and a few more texts and this and that, but it's good. I think the biggest deal is that we've got a great staff in place. That was kind of the first part of the transition, was making sure had a little bit of turnover, but not as much as you would anticipate in a coaching change. And so getting the guys in place that are all on board with the same vision and the same goals, I think has just helped all the transition, mine and the kids. So not a whole lot's changed. I think if somebody were to go to a game last year and this year, you might not be able to see some of the subtle differences that we've got going on. Some of them are internal, stuff that we're doing a little bit different. But, I think, to most people, it'll look very similar. We're doing a lot of the same stuff, and our kids have just responded really well.
You guys are 2-0. On to the next one, and it's another program that I know that folks out there are pretty familiar with, Wolfforth Friendship. They get a big win in week 1. This is a program that I know struggled last year, but seems to be on the good foot and trending in the right way. I don't want to ask you to give away your game plan for Friday night, but when you're looking at what you're up against with the Tigers, what are you seeing?
Yeah, the first thing you notice is they're really well coached, and they have been. They've struggled the last couple of years, but you just saw steady improvement on film. To me, that's a sign of coaching, a sign of kids accepting coaching. Coach Roboto is their defensive coordinator. He's been in the college ranks. That guy knows defense in and out. And then Coach Northcutt, with what he's doing offensively, is really good. The biggest thing you notice with them is their quarterback. They got the Donovan Smith kid that moved in from Vegas. He is just a plus athlete, and a really good. He throws the ball really well too. I mean, Texas Tech offered him scholarship. They know their quarterbacks pretty well, so he's the real deal. But I think what a lot of people don't know about them, they run the wide open spread stuff, but they run the ball. And they're about 60% run from what we've seen. They were on us last year too, and so that makes it tough. There's some teams that are really one dimensional. You can game plan around that, but these guys are not one dimensional at all. And then defensively, the thing that we've noticed on film is how hard they play. And, to me, that's the ultimate testament to a coach, is when the kids play really hard. So we know it's a challenge, and the emotional game of Coronado, it's the same thing this week. So getting our kids back up and having these emotional games back to back is tough, but hopefully our kids are up for the challenge. And to me, it's why you play ball. To me, this is it, and you get to go in these rivalry games. This is what it's all about.
And finally, not to look too far ahead, but at some point, District 3 5A Division 2, play will roll around. And it is a minefield. It sure seems like every single week, even the teams that are struggling right now. I take a team like Abilene Wiley rather. Abilene Wiley is, I know they're not trending in the right way, but they've got an all-time great coach in Hugh Sandifer up there. From your perspective, when you take a look at what you're going to end up being up against in this district play, how do you see it?
Well, Wichita Falls Rider, they knocked us out last year. We got them in district over at our place. We got to go over there this year. And they were sophomore heavy last year. So a lot of kids that played a lot of varsity football last year and, knocked us out in the fourth round of the playoffs. So, they know how to win. They're just really talented too. So we know that, it goes through them. They're going to be tough for anybody to beat. But then, just like you said, Abilene Wiley, Plainview, Canyon Randall, those are teams that just have a lot of tradition. There's something to be said for that. When you've got tradition like that, the kids know how to win, and even if they have a tough year, they usually don't have back-to-back tough years. So we know those programs. There's no easy wins. There's there's none that you can circle. Okay, we can rest guys here, this and that. Every game is a challenge. All those coaches are, you mentioned Coach Sandefur, but all those coaches at those schools are just well respected, and they know how to get kids to do right. They know how to get kids to win. So it'll be, and I didn't mention Wichita Falls High, but shoot, they chunk that thing around and score a ton of points. And it's tough. We don't want to limp into district for sure. We want to be healthy and at full strength because, we want to, a lot of people around here will want to talk about making a run in the playoffs. And that's what I'm telling them. Let's tap the brakes and let's get to the playoffs before we start talking about making a run in it.
And finally, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that while you may be new, the Darden name is not new to West Texas coaching. You are, with all due respect, Coach. I know 2-0, perfect winning percentage, but you're probably in second place as far as coaching is concerned to your father, Chuck, who, of course, a legendary girls basketball coach at Shallowater. I'm just kind of interested. How do you? Growing up in a household with a coach who is so good at motivating kids and getting them to all pull the rope in the same direction, how did that help you to become the coach you are?
Yeah, Greg, I learned or knew pretty early on in my life that I wanted to coach. I mean, I've looked up to my dad my whole life, and I wanted to be like him. So, I was a field house rat, a gym rat, all that stuff, just around it all the time. And once I figured out pretty early on that I wanted to coach, I tried to watch him and tried to see the things that he does. And the biggest deal that I took from him is how positive he is. He's just a real positive. He kind of taught me early on his percentages that he made up were that coaches 90% motivation and 10% X's and O's. And so he's all about motivating kids in a positive way. And so I early on took that from him, and I still just take advice from him. I talk to him every day and usually more than once a day, and just he's always offering advice, and I'm always asking. And I think that's the only way to improve is to try to just get better every day, try to improve your craft. So I'm definitely asking him, and he's been a blessing. I try every day to be like him. So hopefully, I've got a better winning percentage than him right now, so I'll just hold that over him for as long as I can, I guess.
You should hold that over him for as long as it works, Coach.
Yeah, no doubt.
He is Chip Darden. He's the head coach of the 2-0 Lubbock Cooper Pirates, ranked in Dave Campbell's Texas football, the number 7 team in 5A Division II. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations on the win last week, and best of luck this week.
Hey, Greg, appreciate y'all's coverage of high school sports. Thank you.
Absolutely. There he goes, Chip Darden, head coach, the Lubbock Cooper Pirates, the second most famous coach in Darden. But his dad's got like 900 wins at Shallowater. Like, it's an impossible bar.
Well, he just doesn't have to. If he just doesn't lose, he's fine.
If he doesn't lose, then he gets like if they
sure you've got 900, but you have losses.
You know what he's got to do? He's got to get to Thanksgiving undefeated. If he gets to Thanksgiving undefeated, that's the best meal of his life.
You missed the other part of this too. Is he's a basketball coach. No matter what, he'll always be like, "Yeah, but you've lost way more games than I have."
Oh yeah.
You can always hold that over Dad. You've lost way more games than I have.
They could finish 2-8. They won't. Lubbock Cooper won't finish 2-8. But if they could finish 2-8, and he'd be like, "I only got 8 losses, Coach. Or Dad, you've probably got like 300."
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Chip could coach for another 30, 40 years, and he's probably still not going to have as many losses as his dad. So he's already made it.
So we appreciate Chip Darden, the head coach of the Lubbock Cooper Pirates, hopping on with us.